of launching.
This is the dimension of imagination. It is an area which we call the twilight.
I got love for you, no lie. I'll give my best, I'll try. Someday we'll touch the sky. You're an angel, little baby. Wipe all your tears away. I know it's been crazy, but keep your head up high.
Foot chase through the projects, dodging foreign objects. Street knowledge, I should've went to college. Odds stacked against me, surviving off instinct. 3 blocks from the precinct. Lil' homie caught a case, others lost family members. Product of his environment, projects produce violence in the middle of the streets, cause that's how we eat. Just a rap about the trap don't mean I ain't about peace.
We must stand together, all together.
This is the dimension of imagination. It is an area which we call the twilight.
I got love for you, no lie. I'll give my best, I'll try. Someday we'll touch the sky. You're an angel, little baby. Wipe all your tears away. I know it's been crazy, but keep your head up high.
Foot chase through the projects, dodging foreign objects. Street knowledge, I should've went to college. Odds stacked against me, surviving off instinct. 3 blocks from the precinct. Lil' homie caught a case, others lost family members. Product of his environment, projects produce violence in the middle of the streets, cause that's how we eat. Just a rap about the trap don't mean I ain't about peace.
We must stand together, all together.
And good morning.
Hey, good
Welcome
morning,
to the
good morning.
Tampa Bay Breakfast Club. I am Kiana.
And I'm the one and only Mr. Edmund. And we got Coach D.
Coach D.
Move it to the yeah.
Okay, my bad.
No, that's okay. I'm trying to get it right.
Coach D providing the stuff.
The stuff this morning. How y'all doing this wonderful Friday?
Oh man, I'm blessed to be here. Thank you.
All right. So we're brought to
you asking all of us?
Everybody.
Okay, yeah, I'm feeling really excited, man. I'm working with this brother right here on this tour.
Ooh.
Let's go.
What about you? How you feeling today?
Yeah.
I'm feeling amazing this morning. But we're brought to you by the New Image Project, better known as
See that?
because we redefined
What's cool
because smart
is the new
gangster.
baby.
And if you didn't know, now you know. Good morning, Ed.
Hey,
Good
what's
morning.
up, everybody?
I think it's Tina Marie. If I messed that up, I'm so sorry. All the way from New York.
That's right. Welcome. Tag a friend. If you're watching, this is community radio, Care Festival Radio, 99 Jams, The Bird.
Well, if you listened on Wednesday, we were talking about single mothers and how to raise boys into men.
Yes, yes.
And we did promise the people that we were going to continue this conversation, but we also have a guest in here, Duvet, who we're gonna definitely dive into his book and his mission and what he has going on. And then we're waiting on Mr. Antonio Brown. He's gonna come in and also continue this conversation with us. So what are we looking forward to the weekend before we jump on in? Y'all got any?
What's happening this weekend? This weekend, it's going down. Duvet is kicking off his Manifest Your Dreams book tour.
Mhm.
So that's gonna be epic, man. What you thinking?
Hey man, I'm feeling real good about it, man. The first location is Starbucks, okay, over here on 34th Street South.
That's why we drinking Starbucks?
That's why that ain't why, but just a coincidence. But yeah, from 3:30 to 5, they letting me get a whole little section in there, and they're gonna do something special for the first 5 that get there. So make sure you first.
That's right. That's right. What about you, Kiana? What you got this weekend?
It's Mother's Day weekend, right?
Oh, it is.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yes, it's Mother's Day weekend, bro.
It is Mother's Day weekend. So I don't really
So do nothing, huh?
no, I have so much work to do. Like I have so much work to do, it ain't even funny.
Okay.
So ideally I want to hibernate in my house and get some much needed work done.
Okay.
Yes.
Like work for what?
Myself. Like I mean I have my clients I need to do. I have this summer camp that I'm starting this summer that I really need to focus on.
Okay.
There's some collard green festival stuff that needs to be done. We're also next weekend we teamed up with FAMU in Brooksville. They're doing a festival. It's kind of like the Juneteenth. Well, it is the Juneteenth for Florida.
Okay.
The emancipation for Floridians was May 20th, and not Juneteenth. And so we're going to the house where they actually read the speech to tell all the slaves they were free. So I'm working on that. So I have a lot of stuff on my plate. So ideally this weekend, that's what I want to do. But because my schedule seems free or lax, they think that I have free time, but I don't.
Gotcha.
But that's ideally. Tony, come on in. Tell the people what you got going on this weekend. Yes. Anywhere.
Whatever you want.
All right. This weekend I'm going to be at the Grand Families event, JWB. Mid County will be in Palos Park. I'll be out there doing.
Get closer.
I'll be out there doing free haircuts for the families, Grand Families event at JWB with JWB, and a lot of other vendors that'll be out there that deal with families, children, people like
pull the mic up. I'm looking at it. There we go.
People like the Fatherhood Collaboration. You'll have Drive by 5 will be out there. You'll have let's see. Drive by 5.
What's Drive by 5?
So Drive by 5 is a organization that they started to help children from 0 to 5 with early education. And they've been around for a few years. I was a part of that maybe when they first jumped off. I think Miss Joseph, Dr. Joseph, Sherman Joseph's wife.
Oh, at the foundation.
She was doing it at the foundation for a little bit, but I think they moved it to another location.
No, I mean she works for the foundation.
I believe
she works for the foundation.
Dr. Joseph?
Yes.
Okay. Well, she possibly does. Yeah, so I got the Grand Families event. Then we will be putting on an event May 31st at the Deuces Live Food Forest, Books and Beyond, where we'll be having the kids come out and they'll be getting their hands dirty with some hands-on activities in the garden. We'll be doing some planting of seeds. We'll be building a garden bed, and we'll be also doing some new stuff with electric agriculture.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
In a good way. Cause my mama just got her garden bed made, right?
Mhm.
So we're finna try to go like really natural over here.
right.
And so she got her garden bed. I'm finna try to build mine. She got hers built. I want to do it myself. Now I'm gonna show y'all. Hopefully it come out the way that it's imagined in my mind. When you watch those videos on YouTube, it seems so easy. They cut it. They so that's gonna be me. Y'all just stay tuned for it. But we're also getting chickens. So we're watching the process. Like they're sending us pictures of our eggs and then the chickens that's hatching because we finna try to do this stuff.
What's up, Duvet? How you doing, bro?
What's up, man?
You good?
Yes.
Yeah, good to see you, man.
Yes.
What's up, boy? What's happening, bro? Y'all good? Y'all up early, man.
They is up early. So
Jabbar, you up early every morning, so is Duvet. Bro,
No,
you
Jabar's
get your
not up early
you get your
every
crunch.
morning.
You get your crunch in this morning, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You ain't see the post?
I did. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Y'all see
And congratulations on your book, Duvet.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying?
And the tour kicks off tomorrow.
What's up?
Your tour kicks off tomorrow.
Yeah, so the tour kicks off tomorrow. The Manifest Your Dreams tour. We starting at Starbucks on 34th Street South.
All right.
Again, the first 5 that show up, we got a special gift for you from Starbucks. So really excited about that. And we working on some other big things. Working on partnering with Tweeds downtown St. Pete to do another kickoff there. So just getting that in motion.
I got a question.
Yeah.
How you came up with the book? How the book started?
Oh yeah, so the book basically
What's the name of the book?
is the 10 things I wish my mother taught me about money. So it's a powerful story where my grandfather was a big time entrepreneur up north, and like I went my entire life pretty much not knowing that until I started to be an entrepreneur. So in the book I talk about entrepreneurship, how you literally don't have to wait to be an entrepreneur, because most kids think you need to be like 40, 50 years old to start a business. And I'm like, no, you can start at 12, 13. But then the real premise around it is the financial literacy piece. So teaching them about checking, savings, and I'm even starting at home. So like I even got my daughter. She's got her own debit card now where we're teaching her how to use this the right way. And then we're also going to start teaching her about credit. So we want to teach them at an early age. And that's the whole point around the book. I want to start a healthy conversation at home about financial literacy. And I believe this book could do that.
That's good stuff.
That is good stuff. When Cheyenne was in elementary, she started because she had to work at her own business. She was the neighborhood trash girl.
Oh, okay.
So what she did was they made flyers, her and my brother, and she went around and put it in dropped it off at everybody else's house and told them if they wanted her services, put it in the mailbox, like stick it out. And they did. And what she did was on trash day, the day before trash day, she'll pull their garbage can down. And then once the garbage man came and dumped it, she'll put it back up. So she was responsible to get the trash to the corner. And she did that until after she graduated high school.
Wow. See?
Wow.
So you can start whenever.
Yeah, you actually can.
I was a candy lady.
You was a can lady?
Flip lady, candy lady.
So
I love that.
tell us a little bit about, when you say you wish your mom would have taught you a little bit more about money, what did you like have an idea of what you had wanted her to teach you?
Yeah, so definitely the checking and the savings accounts, like understanding that. One of the things I learned, I no longer work at the bank, but one thing I learned at the bank is you can literally, as a parent, set up custodial accounts. So it's not even about them having ownership of it. It's literally learning that, hey, as soon as they are born, you can start a custodial savings account. And you can just literally, if somebody want to get them a birthday present, you can say, hey, write the check out to their name and you go put it in their custodial account. And then you say, hey, once you turn 18, all is yours. But a lot of us, we don't know that information because we never had access to it. So one of the things I wish she had taught me, and then of course credit. But again, I love this book because it is starting a healthy conversation with my mother and I about like the things she didn't know. And one of the things she used to say is like, baby, I couldn't tell you what I never knew. Right. So just understand like, hey, she didn't know this information too, but she reading the book, she's learning information. And now I'm excited because the grandchildren are going to basically get exposed to it. So one of the things that happened at the bank that was really cool, man. So there was a 22-year-old kid there, right? Well, young man, got an 800 credit score. And him and I had a great conversation, and he talked about how his grandfather, around 10 years old, started teaching him about credit, checkings, savings. And he said, of course, I didn't grasp it all at first, but the goal was just to expose him to the information. So then his father put him on his credit card at 14 as an authorized user. So by the time he's a kid with the Ecker College, by the time he was going to Ecker College, he already had like a 750 credit score. Now, why is that important? When you, and this is for anybody listening, when you want to go out and get your own place, your own apartment, they pull in your credit, right? They pull in your credit. And if you have never taken the time to get your credit up, I guarantee you, you're going to get denied. You're gonna have to get a co-signer, and their credit gonna have to be good too. And so that's the importance of like the financial literacy piece. So,
Oh, that's dope, man. Yeah, we kind of like on the same page, man.
okay.
My mom didn't really teach me about finances
Mm.
or saving or any of that either, right? So it's kind of like what we were discussing the other day. Some of the things that we miss out on as young men, young girls too. You know what I mean? But I think that again, when you have an example of a mother that's busting her behind every day, working 2 and 3 and 4 jobs, and then she is very expressive about the labor she's putting in. She's very expressive about this. You feel what I'm saying? She is very adamant about how hard she working, how what she doing, and she making it seem like or feel like this is what it's gonna take to be a mother or a woman. So when you're raising these young girls, right, they take on those traits, right? Now I think the roles kind of reverse when you have single mothers raising boys and girls, because now the young men, they take on more of a feminine role, right? The young girls take on a more of a masculine role, more of a I have to be the breadwinner. I have to be the one that is in control or in charge, or the one that again that's putting in that work, that labor. So I think that a lot of times the things that are missing out are some of the small things when we talk about finances, right? But one, we don't have a parents that are actually going to the bank every day to deposit funds. Small stuff, habits, habit forming stuff, right? So back in the day, they used to have things called piggy banks. How many of us have piggy banks in the kids' room right now? Where you start off with teaching them how to save small, right? Save small. What are we saving for? We saving for that them pair of shoes you want. We saving for that video game you want, right? We saving for that t-shirt or that outfit you want, right? Instead of us always enabling ourselves to purchase these things for these children, we need to teach them the actual strategies, right? We need to teach them the ways of, when you do grow up one day, these are the lessons that you're going to need, right, to be successful or to, be responsible, right? Or to be, to hold yourself accountable, right? Because a lot of times, we're overlooking that example every day, right? When you have a mother, again, that's working very hard to make sure that she makes ends meet for the children that she created, right? And then she's doing it independently, right? A lot of times those things are, overlooked. Right? When we're talking about teaching our sons how to save, or teaching these boys or teaching these girls as well, right? But when you see a mom with money all the time and she's doing this, the young girl's like, oh, okay, well, I know I got to keep money in my pocket. I know I got to keep money in my pocketbook. I know I got to work to do that, though. You know what I'm saying? But when these young boys are watching the mom do it, not watching the man do it, right? It's more so of it's a handicap almost, right? So your book, man, is going to be really telling, right? When people purchase the book, they see some of the things that that your story tells, your testimonies, things like that, are going to help a lot of parents to understand that it is a little some things that I can point out, some things that I could really teach my son, right, or teach my daughter, right, that I have not been able, that I haven't been doing. Right? I haven't been really focusing on. I haven't been looking at it as a priority. How to keep money, how to hold money, because a lot of parents don't know how to keep and hold money.
Yeah.
Right.
They don't know the value of definitely saving.
We're living check to check.
Yeah, it's hard to save when you're living from check to check.
Right.
Well,
and what is that?
And so real quick, so one of the things I feel like this is big in our community is budgeting. Like who sits down and really like irons out a budget? Now here's the cool.
I'm gonna raise my hand because I'm a
right. You a visionary. Okay, so we understand. So I would be willing to bet those that are struggling don't really sit down and budget for what they have coming in and what they have going out. It's really that simple, because when you know, hey, this is my income for the month, I need to stay less than that, right? And if I want to save $500, I need to make that my expenses are less than $500, right? Yeah. And so, but here's what I want the book to do. Let's start family budgets. Why aren't the kids included in the family budget, right? I remember growing up, this is my personal testimony, is I used to get smacked from my grandmother when I would ask about money. Why? Because it's like, ain't none of your business, right? But it's like, we got to start these conversations. Like I wanted her to know, but it was taboo. It was like, oh no, we don't talk about money over here.
So, we go so far, and this, I'm just thinking in my mind, right? Because I agree, like, you need to sit down and have these healthy conversations. Conversations is very important. Comprehension is even more important, because you can have these conversations and don't know how to comprehend or receive what people are saying, and then it goes across your head. But that's a whole nother story. But now, like, some of these kids, I think they might be knowing too much. Like, oh, my mama get her income tax. Oh, I'm finna spend the income tax money. Like, I ain't on that side, but I'm on the side where you need to sit down and really go ahead.
That goes back to a generational cycle that we're living in right now, because you have, again, people glorifying, getting income tax and really don't know the overall ramifications when you continue to get income tax as far as being an adult, right? And we're talking about, moving up and growth. Yeah. Right. You have to pay some taxes to get somewhere in life, right? In order to own some, in order to have something, you got to pay taxes, or you have to find a way around the taxes or something, right? Where you still can, it's still looked at like as you being a taxpaying citizen. Now you could be writing these taxes off. You could be doing some type of services or whatever you need to do. But there's ways that you can, get around that. But you still need to be, claiming all your money. You know what I mean?
You definitely want to.
You don't want to. Again, this goes back to people still want to take advantage of the system or not being able to get out of the system. Right, not necessarily taking advantage of it, but not being able to get out of it. Right, and what is that from? That's from a lack of ambition, a lack of drive, a lack of want. Right. When we talk about that, right, that puts now what that does is now, what does that do for your child? Right, when they see that you don't want to, grow from your circumstances or get out of the same situation that you've already been in.
So on the flip side, when you say like the drive and ambition, wouldn't it be kind of like the flip side? Like their ambition and drive is so big that they're trying to be creative so that they can get out of this hole. You know what I mean? Like people who are in a hole, they do whatever to try to get themselves out of it. And they don't think of the consequences a lot of times or what they need to do, like dot my I's, cross my T's to make sure everything is legit. Because we see a lot of businesses start in our community and like they ain't got their paperwork right. and they're
Mhm.
not paying the taxes. And it's not the lack of ambition or drive, it's the lack of resources that they have and the knowledge to make sure that they put themselves in a position so that they can win and know what they need to do.
I don't think that's necessarily all the way true. I think that a lot of times people are stuck in the mud.
Mhm.
And what I mean by stuck in the mud is they have resources around them
Yeah, I was finna say.
and they don't want to go to them resources. They don't want to ask those people. They don't want to, because again, we have I think we got a hidden it's something that's in our psyche to where black people don't like to ask for help.
It's called shame.
Yeah,
It's called shame.
They don't want to ask the brother
Mhm.
next to them to help them do something.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times, when somebody asks for the help, sometimes they just don't have the capacity, right? And then I just, it's just more so a shame, like you're saying.
Questions. What's the name of the book again?
I already showed it. I did it.
Okay. The 10 things I wish my mother taught me about money. You do have to go on my website. I wasn't giving Amazon 70% of my books. So,
We talk about that publishing.
right. Yeah.
Like, what about that self-publishing? How you like self?
So and I've done both routes. So my first book was actually published by a publisher. It was a really good deal. I had a 70-30 deal. But what I didn't like about it is that once the book was out, I still had to do everything, all the marketing, all the thing. And I couldn't even control the price. I couldn't control the book cover. So, I mean, they sent me 3 good options, but if it was up to me, I would have picked a whole different one. So with this, what I loved about self-publishing is I control everything about that. So the book cover, how much I'm charging for it, when I wanted it to drop, I didn't have to wait for other authors that might be in the pipeline. It was like, no, I'm ready to drop it on this date, and this when we're dropping it. So I use a platform called Ingram Spark. I don't hold nothing back. I'll share with anybody if they want to, learn about it. Ingram Spark, it was a good process. I had my designer did the book cover, and we just made sure everything was ready. And I'm already on my second batch of books. And so it's a pretty quick process. You order your book. They tell you along each process where it's at. Hey, you just ordered the books. It's at this stage. All right. We'll let you know when it gets to the processing. All right. And then it goes out for shipping. Then you get a tracking number and then it's on the way. So, in my opinion, I believe we all should have a book that explains our expertise, right? So I feel like there are a lot of, especially all of y'all, like community leaders that have a gift, and you guys should literally have a book where you can just go out and like, hey, because you know what happens with us, everybody wants your time, and we got to understand our time is so valuable, right? So I can't. There was a point when I was doing this where I could meet you for 30 minutes or an hour and it wouldn't mess up nothing, but now I can't do that. So the best thing I could do is put together a piece of content where if you really want to know this information, it's in the book. So yeah.
You put things in a book, and we was talking about this last night.
What's that real book?
90% of people that buy books don't read them.
What's the name of your book?
A comprehensive guide to navigating child support and joint custody.
Okay, 2 book authors.
Right.
I feel inspired right
Yeah, so
There
we talking about 2 different things.
But it's still book writing.
Yeah, we still definitely. No, it's not even. I'm just saying we talking about 2 different things. We have 2 different experiences. But actually, I have the same experience. My mom didn't teach me about no money like that. You know what I mean? So, but what I'm talking about in my book more so of experience I had with joint custody, getting my son. You know what I'm saying? Going to make sure that I did the right thing with child support and joint parenting and those things, right? So giving tips and ideas on ways that you can fight the system and beat child support. You know what I mean? And help this book helps you navigate through that. It don't give you all the answers, but it helps you navigate through it. It gives you resources that you may need, and and just tips, you know what I'm saying, that you could, help yourself get out of that child support stuff, man. But it also takes it also takes a person to be responsible and accountable and face the music. You know what I mean? You gotta face the music.
If you ain't doing right,
whatever that is,
right. And if you is doing right, then
you gotta face the music with your baby mother. You know what I'm saying? Have a good conversation with her. You gotta get on some common ground. And then one thing about it is you gotta be consistent and you gotta be accountable and responsible when you make these decisions. You can't, ain't no going back on your word. You know what I mean? That's one thing that helped me is being persistent. Not going, keeping my word, saying I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do, and then making it happen. I wasn't calling for no Pampers, no diapers, no shoes, no clothes, no food, no. I didn't need no help to do my part, right? So that's what I'm saying. When it came down to it, I just did what I needed to do and made it happen.
So why are you saying that consistency and persistency is the key for success?
It was for me.
But I mean, it's the key for everybody. Like, I mean, in your situation for your child support and people, like, the cheat code for any co-parenting situation is being consistent and being able to stand on your word. If you tell the other person, I'm going to do this, just because life happened, you can't miss out on your children because the parent that's there, that's consistent, don't have that luxury.
Sometimes they do. They got family members and support. The thing is, you gotta figure it out, and that's what I'm saying. You can't. But this one thing that happens too. One side feel like the family ain't a good representation or whatever, so they don't want them to be the kid to be around this part of the family or whatever. You can't dictate that. You can't be the judge and the executioner. You know what I'm saying, and the jury. So even if you don't like the other side of the family or whatever, that ain't got nothing to do with you. It's all about the child. And another thing, another partner of mine that I'm linking up with is Our Children Have Rights, right? So this is a nonprofit organization designed to help cope with co-parenting. So a lot of times we don't have people to come into our lives that have successful relationships or have been in successful parenting situations, co-parenting situations. They're brand new to the game. They're brand new to being a parent. What we do is we go ahead and we just say, all right, since you carried the baby, you are going to be the most responsible. That's not necessarily always the truth or the case, right? So with Our Children Have Rights, they sit you down, right? And they put a plan together for you and for both parents. And the main priority in the co-parenting is the child. It's not the mother and it's not the father. Once we get the parents out of the idea that because you carried the baby, right? It's like me depositing my money in a Pepsi machine and then Pepsi ain't mine when they come out. Right or wrong?
No, yeah.
A vending machine is carrying the product, right? But I delivered and paid for it. I dropped it off, right? Now I want my baby too, right? I want my soda can. I want my Pepsi. I did the work. I paid for it. Now you holding it. This machine got it. No, I'm not saying.
I get the scenario.
You get the scenario?
I get the scenario.
Because if you think about it, no,
that wasn't messy.
No.
That was a good scenario.
It was simple. It was real simple. It was just real simple.
No, it was saying that like once you deposit something in, you want to be able to enjoy the fruits of your labor. And so I get what he was saying. And so I will say I 100% agree with you when it comes to parenting. Just because I'm the woman don't mean that I'm the most responsible person to be able to take care of the child. Y'all know that I have a lot of brothers a lot of male cousins, a lot of males around me that really stepped up for their children. That's why, and I said my vision for men is different than a lot of my friends because I've had a lot of positive role model men around me. So again, I see greatness in y'all. Let me just say that. So my brother has raised his son, his daughter by himself. My cousins took custody of their children, and so I've seen where men have stepped up and, the woman was the one that left. I've also seen positive co-parenting. I did a positive co-parenting because again, it wasn't about me. It was about my daughter. So when you take I out of this, because it takes a village to raise children, and thinking that everything that I think is right is not always the right thing. And I personally live by, I don't have to be right, the situation got to be right.
Right. And that's it, man. It's just more so, again, we're talking about the betterment of the child, right? The development of a child that has two parents, not just one, right? And we don't want to, again, we want to try to get to the bottom of it. That be the thing, right? That's what our children have rights are trying to do, I believe, with Greg Hill, Jake Hornstein, trying to get down to the bottom of it, right? Because a lot of times we can't grow. We can't even get past our emotions to help us to thrive, to be better parents, right? Because if I think if women understood, if they were to co-parent, right, and men as well, if they were to co-parent, right, they both of their lives would be a lot better and a lot easier, right? I think both lives would be a lot better, a lot easier, and I think that the child will get a better experience, right? The child will benefit from it. So I think that a lot of times we go into it thinking about every small thing. So it's like, oh, he can't be, or the child can't be over here for this amount of time, or he can't be over here for this amount of time. What's wrong with it? We're in the same city. We got vehicles. We can take him to the school. We can pick him up. What's wrong with him being over here this amount of time, being over here? It shouldn't matter. He still get his parents, both his parents in the same area. He doesn't have to, she doesn't have to say, okay, well, it has to be this way. That be the thing. When you're talking about it has to be this way or no way, and then if it don't be my way, I'm going to the popo, I'm going to the court system or something like that. That's where I think a lot of times it get real messy and it gets sticky, because it has to be my way or no way.
You're listening to 99 Jams Carol Foster Radio.
That's right.
You're listening to Tampa Bay Breakfast Club. We got two authors in the building right now, and we're talking about parenting and co-parenting, and just want to let the people know you are tuned in to 99 Jams Carol Foster Radio.
That's right.
But no, you're right. A lot of people think so. Parenting is so. This conversation got a lot of gray in it. It's not black and white. We wish that it was, but it's not black and white because there's different scenarios that add different stuff in. But if we could make it black and white, right?
We could make it black and white.
If we could make it black and white, my idea is that both parents will always communicate with each other.
Right.
When parents don't communicate with each other and allow the child to communicate amongst each other, you allow chaos in your parenting style. And people don't understand that because children can manipulate. They know that my daddy don't like my mama and my mama don't like my daddy. And so when my daddy say I can't do, I go complain and make it seem like I'm mistreated over here. And then your mama, oh no, I'm not, he ain't gonna do that. And then you're getting something that you're not supposed to get. So, and vice versa, depending on which household you in. If the daddy say no toys, ain't no toys today. And me and your dad will have that conversation later. You know what I mean? Even if I disagree or agree with it, but go ahead.
I think that a lot of times, because again, we have been raised by our mothers and grandmothers, the majority of us, we feel like they have the end all be all and the last say. But when you have a father that comes into the picture, there's a man there. Mother and grandmother don't take precedence over the father. And I think that a lot of times what we do is we put the grandma and the mom over the father of the child that you created with the father. They have a say in what goes on with the child when they shouldn't necessarily have a say unless you and the father, right?
Mhm.
Right? You need some counseling or you need some, but they don't have the final say. It's
They
a conversation between you and the father that need to be came to an agreement.
And
right?
I will say this, Tony. I don't disagree, but where that comes in
Mhm.
is that the parent that's inconsistent, regardless if it's the father or the mother,
Mhm.
end up don't having to say because there's life decisions that need to happen and you're not there. Right. And so what happens is, and you say most of them, no, I'm not talking about rights.
That's why communication, like
This
you
is
said,
what
is important.
communicate. But if I'm communicating, so I'm just saying, because you're saying mothers and grandmothers, right? And usually what happened is when you look at that dynamic, the grandmother end up playing the other role of the father because the father is the absentee parent. Now, how that happens, I don't know, because that looks different for everybody. They might have been grudge with women and just want to be controlling. This may be a sorry black man or white man that just not stepping up and then want to come in and make rules as they please. And when you have something of structure, because children need structure, and you have it, you cannot come and interrupt that structure because you are the man, even though you ain't been here 9 months.
Okay. So let's say this right here.
And if the
Let me
woman
just
too,
say
if
this.
the woman was gone for 9 months, she can't come
Let
in
me just
and
say
mess
this.
up the
But
structure.
before you say that, let me just say this, right? Because grandparents, right,
Are important.
Yes, and
Very.
and I think what you're saying is like the interference of the parenting, right? Not necessarily helping. You know, grandparents who are helping and coming through.
Ain't got nothing to do
You're
with it.
talking about like the
Interference. Yes. Talking
I just
to
wanna make that
talking
clear.
to the father and you know stepping outside of boundaries. Like it should be some boundaries set for grandparents, right? It should be some boundaries set for parents that haven't been in the bed with you and this other man and this man.
Mhm.
You can't. That's what I'm saying. When you create a child, the bond that should be there between the child, the parents, and then the grandparents.
Well, let me ask this.
Yes.
I want to ask the audience, this everybody. Should there be boundaries for grandparents? Like that's a question.
So I'll tell you.
Are
this.
there boundaries? There
So
should be
let's
boundaries
just
for
know
everybody.
this.
Yeah.
There's boundaries for everybody, right? And you know, I also believe the two people in a relationship defines what that look like. Right?
Again, they have to be in agreement.
But you have to be present to have this conversation.
I think.
And then you cannot walk around and say, because this is who I am, and this goes for men and women, that I set all the rules and the laws.
I think a lot of times when younger people get in relationships and have babies, they're living with their parents.
Mhm.
And when you're living with your parents, right, no matter what, you still have to abide by the rules of your parents because you're living under their roof.
But
and then that child also becomes a product of that household now. It's not like the parents have control over the child anymore. The grandparent takes precedence because she is or he is the owner of the house.
And I think that is a true distinction, because if you're living in my house, yeah, there is some more rules. There's extra rules.
Right.
But I want to say this. I'm trying to say grandparents aren't the parents. Sometimes there are grandparents who think they can take over the situation. And Marche say exactly. Parents must agree. I think the real big issue that we talking about.
Bring the mic back to you.
I think the real big issue that we're talking about, right, is co-parenting, right?
Yes.
And sometimes a co-parent isn't just the next parent, but also your family and your friends, the people who are helping you raise this child. And I think there should be some grace, right, to a grandparent who helping raise a child.
And that's what happens. And sometimes grandparents end up being the parent. This is true. This is true scenario. And then what happened is the parents who gave birth to these children, let's say men and women, let's say both of their parents sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say that. Both of them sorry. And the grandma and the granddaddy done came in and stepped up.
Hey, hold on, before you go, let them know what you. But no, I want.
We're gonna get them. I got the book and everything. But you have a grandparent that came in, and to be honest, this grandparent probably don't want to be the parent.
Right.
Right. But they stepped in when they needed to. And then you come in and say, hey, I'm the parent. What I say go, you ain't helped financially provide for this child. You ain't gave them no emotional stability. You ain't did nothing but brought them into this world. And just because you have a baby, that don't make you a parent, unfortunately.
That's
Because
right.
some people are not parent worthy.
Well, I know a lot of parents, right, that will act like they parenting, but the grandparents doing all the work.
Mm-hmm.
You have people that act like they doing such a great job, but the grandparents are doing everything.
Mm-hmm.
The grandparents the one bringing them to get a haircut.
Mm-hmm.
The grandparents the one taking them to school. The grandparents the one getting the clothes. The grandparents making sure they get up every morning. So when we're talking about a family and helping in a village, like you talk about,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's what normally happens. The girl or the single parent,
Mm-hmm.
majority of the time, is living with a family member. And that could be a mother, could be an aunt, could be a grandma, could be, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, now, how does co-parenting look in that situation? What does co-parenting look like there
In somebody else's house.
That's how as a father am I able to come visit my child? Do we have an agreement on us visiting me coming over here? Is your mama mad at me because we don't had this baby? Is your mama mad at me because I'm young and I'm still out here doing what I'm doing as a, you know what I'm saying, a young black man?
But and I'm gonna say those are real realities, and like a grandparent has the right to have those concerns. I want to share what Mama Blue said. She said the boundaries are between the parents. However, grandma usually when her spirit doesn't feel the child is not the priority in the decisions.
Okay. I think I get what she's saying. That's just like anybody.
But that mean you got to think that
grandparents stepping in.
That mean that you got to think that the daughter or whoever the primary parent is not being responsible. That means whoever the primary parent is, right, or those absent parent is not being responsible enough. So you feel, right, and again, it goes back to a feeling. It don't necessarily make the situation true.
Feelings
it go back to what she said. It goes back to a feeling, right? Because you feel like they should be being treated or being done this type of way. That goes back to, again, are you stepping outside of your boundaries? You see what I'm saying? Again, sometimes we get to a point to where we feel like, because what if your child goes to the grandparent and says, oh, well, when they go, oh, I ain't allowed to do this. They won't let me do this. They won't let me do this. Now the grandparent feels like they have to be overcompensating for the things that the parent won't allow the child to do. And they say, well, he is a child. You should allow him to do these things, but you don't know what he's doing over here. I ain't telling you everything this boy doing or this girl doing.
But see, that's communication, and you have to tell them, because if you don't,
sometimes tell them they still override you.
They do, and grandparents do got that that trump card.
But usually grandparents got that trump card when there is a lack of. When you have two parents that are doing what they're supposed to do, usually they're so involved and they have their communication and their understanding. It doesn't allow anybody else to come in. When people can only penetrate when there's a lack or a crack somewhere. Right?
Well, it's already a crack if you're a single parent. That's what I'm saying. The crack is already there. As a single parent, the crack is already there.
And that's where they
and that's where the infiltration comes in at, because the crack is there. Nobody's trying to mend the relationships as far as the co-parenting aspect of it, to where the child is the priority. So when we say, that's what we're saying, is the child needs to be the priority. And if the grandparent does step in, it needs to be to step in to make sure that these two parents are trying to co-parent together. Not being upset because they did make the baby or the daddy ain't there. Try to, if we're having conversations, we need to be able to have a grandparent that's going to sit both of these children down, right, and have a real conversation with these kids, because that's what they are, having babies. real parents or grandparents as well need to sit the kids down if they out there having sex and having babies and tell them what the real deal is. Stop sugarcoating this stuff for these kids and then making their lives, their life is hell without each other. And we see that, yet and still we ain't doing nothing to bring these kids together that have these babies to make them make amends or to get into a mindset where the kid is the priority.
But see, T, you talking about a society norm, right? And I hear you. I hear you loud and clear. But a lot of these grandparents don't have those tools because they have agreed to some of those society norms.
Right.
Of okay, she can do it by herself. She don't need him. He don't need her, or whatever the back and forth is. And then I'm gonna help her. If she don't need him, I'll step in, and that's what a lot of that comes from.
And so here we go. Even when you do that part of it, everybody are individuals, right? And I can give you all the tools and try to help you. I can take you to the lake to drink the water, but that don't mean you're gonna drink it.
Yeah.
I done seen where people like, come on, step up, man. Like, it's important for you to show up to this recital. Right. Listen, Father, just show up. I got your ticket. The daddy still won't show up. Like, there's gaps in the egg. You have to have willing participants across the board. Yeah. Regardless if you got again, I'm saying most grandparents don't want to parent your children. They step up because they don't want their grandchild to lack or miss out because of the absentee parent. And not to all, but I know a lot that has came in and tried to mentor on both ends. But if you at 15, 16, because we're talking about team, you think you know everything. So you don't want to listen to your mama or your grandmama and all this other stuff. And they say, yo, young fella, step up. Do all this other stuff.
But that's what we're talking about. When we're talking about young fella step up at 15, come on, man.
Yeah, but not when you had that baby, it's time.
Step up to do what?
So
whatever you need to do.
But this is a reality, and you think you think it's the time, but you're not the one that goes home with the child typically, because you stay at home with your mama.
That's right.
And I said, so let me say,
that's what I'm saying.
I was a teen mama,
that's
right?
What I'm saying about the co-parents.
And I told, and once what I told Cheyenne once she got
grandparents
older,
got to get together.
But her grandparents stepped up, like both my mama and his mama, right? We figured it out. But her dad, he was still in high school like me, but he wasn't a full-time father because he wasn't in the household. So there was some tools that he just didn't have and had to mature into because he didn't come home with the baby.
And that's majority of the time when we talk about coming home with the baby, right? That already supposedly get a woman a leg up. That is the issue right there. Think about the origin of some of these problems. Right there, a young girl has a child, and now we think she is a mother. No, you're not a mother. You don't know how to be a mother. You was watching your mom, but you're not a mom. You're not a mother. You're still struggling. That's why you need your mom. That's why you need your grandma. Because you still weren't picking up the lessons that they was teaching you about motherhood and all the things.
I'm gonna disagree. Once you have a child,
you know what I'm saying?
Once you had a baby, your mom.
Same for dad. Then you gotta put the dad. You gotta put the dad in the situation, and that's what I'm saying. Send the dad home with the baby and see what he do. His mama gonna step up. Period. And that's the same thing when you put the baby in the mama hands.
But children people are more territorial children.
And that's a skill.
Especially
that ain't right
when they feel a certain way about one of the parents.
So I'm gonna say this. Here we go. Like it or not, because we have double standards across the board.
Yes.
The baby's coming home with me. One is I'm breastfeeding. Listen, you can't breastfeed.
That's cool.
No.
I want to hear this.
You can't breastfeed. There's some things that I can do that you can't do. This is facts.
It's facts.
Right? Now, do I exclude you from this? No. This is why you pump milk, but you do stuff. But if in a society where we're doing healthy parenting, you come home with both of your parents.
Okay, we ain't talking about when you come home, both of them. We talking about when you when a mother thinks that she is the end all be all, and she has to take the baby home because she knows how to be a better parent. Again, when we take the titles away, mother, father, whatever, we talking about a human. If when we talk about nurturing,
Usually
right?
women are more nurturing.
I'm going to combat that only by saying this. When you have young boys, majority of the young boys are naturally protecting and nurturing, loving, caring. They have to be taught out of that stuff. You need to be hard. Don't be crying. Don't be. Majority of these young boys, they are soft as hell.
But so they need.
So
a
what
balance.
I'm saying is, no, what I'm saying, not soft like that. They are giving. If you watch young boys,
because they've been nurtured by their mothers.
okay,
so you come in there,
they have a instinct also to pick that up from their mom, right? As a protector, they want to protect their mothers off rip. So that's a characteristic that these young boys pick up. If you say something about these boys' mama, what they want to do, they want to fight. So that already is a protecting nature right there. So they already have these things. So what I'm saying is, even if you allow a man to take the child home, he's going to have the same type of, except for the breastfeeding and those things, he'll have a mother there, a grandmother there,
possibly
to tell him, hey, do this. I'm going to show you how to do this. I'm going to walk you through this. I'm going to walk you through that. I'm going to show you how to make this food. I'm going to show you how to heat this bottle up. I'm going to show you how to put the baby to bed. I'm going to show you how to wrap him up. I'm going to show you how to bathe him. I'm going to show you how to, because most girls don't know all that stuff right off rip either. So when we're talking about having a mentor or a teacher, right? Why would you think that this man, mom or grandmother ain't as good?
It's 8:59.
A teacher as your parents.
So we done got to this point again.
Yeah, see.
So we got to this
good
point.
Conversations though.
Good conversation. We've been rocking and rolling. Now the crazy part is on Wednesday, Don J told us continue. Keep going. And then we end up still getting cut off, right? So we still had to leave, but but I'm gonna tell you, it's a great conversation. It's a great conversation that needs to be had, and we can always continue because we're on the radio Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Right?
Yes, tune in, follow, like, share. It's 90% of the listeners have not liked the page. So if you're one of those listeners,
please like the page.
Please go like the page, follow, and share because this is Community Radio, Tampa Bay Breakfast Club.
Yeah, and this has been Kiana.
And I'm the one and only Mr. Edmond.
And we're out. Catch you Monday. Stay tuned for Sister Hughes.
Lose shoes and shot all around the house.
Mm-hmm.
The Berg.
The next letter is J. J. J is for
Gems. 99 Gems. The Berg. WUJM. St. Petersburg. 99 Gems. The Berg.